Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So, welcome everybody. Today we have a very intensive session. I think that also very interesting. We will start just at 8:30 because we have 4 speakers, and you know they have a lot of things to share. So we need to be very on time. The topic for today will be the general review of the disruptions, analyze it, and the different proposals received during the last month. They have been near 85, if I am right. That means that we will summarize. We will not be able to review every one of them, but that's the idea, okay? And we are continuing with the activity that we started yesterday, the analysis of what have been done and what can be done in the next period after August. In fact, we will continue with activity on August, but without the morning sessions. So, as I said, okay, I see that, as I said, we will start immediately with Luca Patti.
Hello, Antonio.
Hello, Luca. Are you there? Yes.
Yes, of course. Can you hear me well?
The sound is not very good. Okay, we will try.
Let's see if I can fix it. Is it better now?
It's kind of low quality echo, something like that. I don't know.
Let me check if I can do something. Just a minute, please.
There is a strong echo. If you could perhaps use a microphone, headset.
Yeah, I use a headset, but you still hear the echo now?
Yes, yes. At least myself, I hear an echo.
Okay, let's try it like this, for example. Sorry, just a second. Can you hear me?
I think it's the same.
Yes,
we can try, but be aware that the sound is not very good.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Let me share my screen. Just a moment. Okay. Okay.
No, not very good.
Not very good. Just.
We see your screen now. Yeah, we have lost your screen. Okay, Luca is not with us. We will wait for 1 or 2 minutes. If not, we will jump to Nina. Okay, but I think we could wait just some moments for Luca. Here you are again.
Here I am.
Luca, the problem is the same. Could you please try, if not, to use the phone? Because you know you have the possibility to use the phone, to call by phone, and you could have both sessions, the phone one, okay?
Okay, sure. Just let me do it in a moment, please. Okay. I'll try maybe just now to change my device. Can you give me a feedback, please?
Yes.
Go out and then came back again. Just
Luca,
go.
You have in the screen, you have the phone numbers for Italy, I think, here. And the code is that one. I think
Okay.
that
Just let me digit it. Access code. Okay.
and probably you will have far better quality.
I hope so. 03 0 0 81. Okay, just let me connect.
Sorry, this is near inevitable. Sometimes this happens, okay? But I think if we jump to Nina or to Marek, the problem is that Nina will speak about the solutions, and first I think it makes sense to review the not the solutions but the disruptions. Okay, I will use this time. If I have the presentation from yesterday from Ilaria, yes, I have it. Just for your knowledge. Hello?
Mm-hmm. Hello, Antonio. Can you hear me?
Far better. Far better.
Okay.
So, should I give you the presentation right?
Sure. Thank you. And I'll start my sharing my presentation.
Now.
Okay. Thank you. Just a moment. Okay. Can you see?
Yes, please.
Okay.
We are seeing now the logo of the car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. So I'll start. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Luca Passi from Reindustria Innovazione, a territorial development agency based sorry, I hear some kind of echo. Okay. From Reindustria Innovazione, a territorial development agency based in Cremona, northern Italy, and hereby will present the work carried out in this month of disruption identification and analysis, guided by European Cluster Alliance. Okay, how do we identify this disruption? Since March, each day we try to address and identify the main disruptions suffered by European industry after coronavirus outbreak. The aim has been to promptly identify concrete cases of changes in each ecosystem and trying to examine concrete action to be undertaken, guided by UCA and EU Commission through the Rapid Alert Function project, which has started in the month of April. So, why ECA and Rapid Alert Function? Well, because they represent a peculiar source of information because of different features. First of all, the ability to detecting weakness signals due to market and ecosystem closeness, given by the nature of cluster association. So this has granted through time a prompt and reliable identification of disruptive trends with a widespread net of sensors at local level, which are clusters themselves. Secondly, because of the direct content involving EU Commission and policy makers, being able to straightly raise awareness on disruptions and interventions needed. And finally, because of the added value given by ECA and Rapid Alert Function, which is represented by the feedback that industries can give to European Commission about policies application and intervention needed. So, in total, we have been able to identify 84 listed disruptions referring to 15 different ecosystems up to the 24th of July. Here you can see a list of the main categories identified for dividing the disruption, referring to different topics, such as income reduction and financial capabilities, raw material availabilities and dependence from external market by UE, workplace security, shortage of protection device, component supply disruption, skill gaps, uncertainty of business models, and import and export disruptions. So these are the main categories which we identified to distinguish each disruption we found in our work. So, okay, how have each disruption has been characterized? So first, through gathering evidence of the disruption, giving and reporting tangible proof and the impacts of each single disruption, and then contextualizing geographical location, the stage of value chain, of process value chain affected by each specific disruption, the time horizon of the impact, distinguishing between short-term, so temporary and due to COVID-19, or permanent, so with a long-term view. And finally, closing specifying which action in terms of regulation, coordination, or funding, or a mix of these three, should be undertaken by European Union in order to solve the particular situation created by these disruptions and discontinuities. So which tools have been used to gather information? Modern tools, let's say, channels, and the main channels used to gather information have been, firstly, the ECA daily sessions, the daily session held by ECA like this one, in which we have been able to correct direct experience of destructive trends from daily speakers, but also other channels have been exploited, like ECCP forum and website, and of course, disruption survey that have been submitted to the European Cluster Association in order to understand if we have been able to map correctly this disruption while we were still working on them. So I would like to show, before these graphs, I would like to show how this analysis has been carried out. And what has been done is the composition and population of a database involving all the 85 disruptions that you can see in the share screen, identifying, of course, ecosystem of reference, location, value chain stage, and action required by European Union, being conformed with the structure we give to each disruption in our report. So the results of our analysis have been this. And starting with the analysis of the geographical location of the disruption, we can see that a huge part, almost 50%, refers to European as a whole, let's say. So disruptive trend identified in each nation of European Union. Also, other than this, let's say, more general and widespread disruption, Spain, France, Portugal, Germany, and Italy represent the major sources in terms of disruption as countries, identified in the chart, as you see, with columns that are higher than other countries that report disruption. Then, of course, other than geographical location, we also analyzed the repartition of disruption in the 15 different ecosystems that we found. So here the trend is shows a predominance of automotive, industrial and manufacturing, and digital sectors that have been disrupted. For each ecosystem, the disruptions have been mapped and listed according to this subdivision. And we can see an example referring to the tourism ecosystem. So for the tourism ecosystem, we found these kind of disruptions, so collapses of the ecosystem activities, issues with data analysis and sharing, long-term sustainability, different customer behaviors, and the increase of competition and subsequent lack of business opportunities given by less collaboration. For each ecosystem, the disruption has been listed like this, and an analysis has been carried out. Finally, in addition, we analyzed also the interventions required at European level, and we found out that the 32% of disruption requiring an action of funding, so financial support, the 13% an action of regulation, and 28% action of coordination by European Union. That 27% instead refer to disruption that are still don't have a clear intervention plan, or have been already solved by cluster intervention and do not need European Commission intervention. Okay, so the next analysis we carried out referred to the value chain model of water. So we tried to identify where each disruption hit the value chain of the ecosystems. So at which level each disruption has impacted the different activities that generate value inside the ecosystem. What we found out is represented in this chart, and the most disruptive part of the supply chain regard HR, operations, procurement, inbound logistics, and research and development. But why? Well, inbound logistics, operation, and procurement are linked to the disruption caused by raw material availability due to import and export disruption for imposed restrictive regulations. So it's obvious that here in our analysis, outstanding as a trend. HR disruption also regard mainly the theme of skill gap, especially talking about digital skills, particularly relevant in a quarantine period, because digital skills involve also the action of remote workforce and management of work from home during the COVID-19 outbreak. Finally, R&D and new product development efforts have been disrupted due to the absence of necessary standard systems of certification, homologation, and regulation, which has slowed down or even stopped the whole process of innovation. So, okay. Here, I would like to present some example of intervention and disruption that has been shared during this daily session. This right here represents an example of prompt mobilization and teamwork between different clusters and associations in order to promptly answer to the shortage of protection devices, in particular also masks, during COVID-19 outbreak. And it is extremely peculiar because it has been implemented in a time range that covers only 1 month, evidencing the prompt mobilization to address the issue through cluster collaboration and the added value even by having a network of cluster collaboration at European level. Secondly, I would like to show also examples of disruption that have been gathered in aerospace, and as you can see, aerospace sector has been heavily impacted by COVID-19. Being the first cases of COVID-19 in China, China suffered the effects of the pandemic on this sector around the end of January. Started to recover only in June. At European and global level, instead, effects of the pandemic have started in March to proceed in the following months. So the results have been this kind of disruption involving the collapse of the aviation travel, also for business and for leisure. The difficulty in accessing facilities like airports, okay, and the consequent impact on the different stages of the value chain, so sales, design, manufacturing, and support. Capacity, and competitiveness have been disrupted because of cash flow lack during these months, skill gaps in the staff, capital requirements, and as we said before, the slowdown of new project and process development, disruption of supply chain and connectivity. Of course, the vulnerability of this sector keeps on in the post-pandemic and requires specific action to be repositioned to generate new products and new services in order to recover. Regarding automotive, which is another sector that has been extremely impacted, we can see a decrease in the month from April, in a loss of 15% of car usage and almost 40% in car registration during the month of this year. Regulations have, of course, regulated the mobility and automotive sector, in highly impacting on transportation means and on transportation in general. So, different trends and innovative trends have raised importance in order to recover and to promptly exploit opportunities. So, as an example, low zero emission vehicles, for example, are so connected with the Green Deal and green transition, connected and automated and autonomous vehicles, connecting with the theme of digitalization and artificial intelligence in particular, and the highly flexible and automated production system, same digitalization, but applied at industrial level. Of course, for these trends are necessary new skills, which is represent one of the disruptions we mapped before, like, for example, electronic engineering, electronics, and in general, ICT skills in order to cope with the gap and obtain a promptly recover from the coronavirus situation. So these are just examples of disruption we mapped before, but if you want the complete list of disruption, you can find on the ECCP website in more than 130 sessions and daily minutes published on the website. You can access in the link in this last page. Thank you very much. I finished.
Grazie mille, Luca, for your work. Congratulations also for your work and for your exposition. I need to clarify that there are 14 industrial ecosystems. Probably you have spoke about 15 because we were including the cross-link situation.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yes, there are 14. And
right, there are 14.
Thank you very much, Luca. So now it's time to introduce Nina Hoffman, that is working in the cluster IDEA, but also intensively participating on the activities of the European Cluster Alliance during those past month. Welcome, Nina.
Thank you, Antonio, and hello to everybody.
I'm giving you the presentation rights.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. So as Luca has already guided us a little bit through the disruptions, the many that we collected, I would like to recap also the recommendations that we have collected from all the community and from all the participants that have not only been in the morning meetings but that we have also reached us during the survey that we have made and also through the ECCP response forum. I want to click on the following slide, but it's not allowing me. I'm sorry.
Could be that we are seeing the only the screen. Your could you share the full computer?
I am.
If not, I can share from my computer.
Yes, please.
Let me. Yes. Okay. So please start, and I will share from my. So here
exactly so. Perfect. Thank you. As Luca said, this is where we collected disruptions, but that's also where we found a lot of recommendations that have found their way both to the whole cluster community and beyond to the different stakeholders with everyone we've been talking about, but also to the European Commission. Next slide, please. And what we've also noticed when looking through all the recommendations given is that we have a big network of stakeholders that have given recommendations and solutions and ideas and proposals to each other. So we don't only talk about giving recommendations to one way, bottom up or top down, but we've actually managed to see examples and proposals giving to clusters, from clusters to companies, from research organization to policymakers, but also from policymakers and to all the different entities that we have welcomed here in our daily sessions. And I think that is a very nice example of how we have this openness and shared leadership and the collective intelligence that yesterday we talked about in our session when we were looking at the activities here in the European Alliance Against Coronavirus. Next, please. So when we look at the recommendations that are all published on the ECCP forum, as Luca has on the ECCP website that Luca has just showed, and in the daily minutes, we see that we have needs that were stated and there were indications given on how to address them. But we also have individual best practices and actions both at local, regional or national level that serve as examples of how something can be done. We have seen in our daily meetings examples of collaborations and projects, maybe for circular economy, for Internet of Things, for the S3 collaborations that we have been talking about. And we also had in our daily meetings interventions from the European Commission on policies and on funding schemes that are being implemented so that we, the cluster community and the other entities can act on them. We shared information on national and regional policies and programs, and also, for example, blueprints for cross-sectorial solutions, for example, when we were looking at safety at the workplace, on intellectual property rights, or the examples from smart cities that we were talking about. Next, please. And just to give you an example, because it has been a while ago, but it has been one of the places, apart from the daily meetings, where we had exchange on developments and best practice, which was the ECCP COVID-19 Response Forum. And we saw here exchanges on funding opportunities and events, news about policies that are implemented in different countries that would be interesting for others. We had offers of help, especially when it comes to PPEs or matchmaking tools or digital health solutions. And this forum served as an incentive and source of information for everybody since it was public. And this, when looking at the recommendations, we of course have to consider that every disruption is individual in itself. But since we're trying to group together, you can see that the recommendations, when looking at them, they go in very similar directions, meaning that we have concrete actions from ecosystem to ecosystem. But when generalizing, we see the tendencies, for example, like collaboration and innovation and digitization that are being repeated in the different ecosystems. Just to give you some examples that we have listed here under these keywords, an increase in public and private collaboration that is needed, also improve coordination with regional authorities, making use of clusters and intermediators, and to grow our network and to get out of our bubbles, to promote inclusiveness, to link to social economy, and the increased participation in this S3 platform. And as examples for innovation and digitization, we have seen a lot of requests for investment in R&D, in advanced technologies, in digitization, in the different ecosystems, in automated processes to be ready to not rely on purely human workforce. We have also seen, for example, when we were talking about the Internet of Things, for example, a standardization architecture that is needed in Europe, or we see new innovation because we have the need to adapt to new customers' behaviors. And of course, we've seen innovative business models also presented here that have been suggested to apply also to other ecosystems. And this list we can do for more. Of course, we have been talking a lot about green and circular economy, that there's these concepts that are being pushed by the European Union, but also here from the different projects that we've seen and from the entities that talked about incentives for energy transition to support solutions for sustainability and also actions to supply raw material in new ways. We have been talking about, especially with regard to raw materials, about the dependency on foreign markets, especially on the ones in Asia, and possible actions would include the identification of key actors here in our European markets to bring back businesses and to foster new production processes and allow flexibility in production lines, as have particularly been done during the peak of the crisis. But now we are looking at how can we sustain also this flexibility and how can we make it last in our economy. Another big topic that we have seen repeatedly, in which we're all entities are working on, is the re-upskilling, which also has something to do with the digitization, but not only, to increase mobility between the ecosystems and to systematically reduce skill gaps that we have identified. Next, please. And also further recommendations have to do with the workplace in itself. We've seen examples of redesigning the office. We have been talking about what kind of safety measures do we need in the workplace to stay safe. And also one interesting aspect that came up was support in cybersecurity to ensure our business and to protect them from outside. Another point was legal framework, as Luca has already shown in the analysis of the disruptions, that this is a point that is continuously developing. We had, for example, when we were talking about drones, that we need to harmonize the legal framework so that all the European countries here have the same basis to continue working on this innovation. Making your regulation processes easier, especially when we were at the beginning talking about the homologation of face masks, and that we need clear regulations for different aspects, especially for PPEs, but they've also come up in other ecosystems, as you see when you go through all the daily sessions that are published on the ECCP website. And another point was, of course, also funding, that we need to share more knowledge about the public and also private funding schemes that are available, working on easier access to capitals and loans, especially when money is provided through calls and through schemes, but it's not accessible through the banks. And that we need, for example, as clusters, more inclusion on a regional level schemes that we were talking about. And there are a variety of, for example, when we are talking about clusters, of what clusters can do with all, based on all these recommendations and disruptions that we have seen, to co-create processes and to facilitate networks to create these new value chains that we have been talking about, to be included in the upskilling and to offer training for companies and employees, also collaborating with BT centers and other entities that do this, but also play a role in implementing policies more and more, and play a greater role in funded projects to create the links between the public authorities and also directly the SMEs. That we should more initiate cross-sectorial exchange format, for example, like this one, that I found to be very useful, and to create more connections also to national and regional authorities and other entities like the digital innovation hubs that, as we have seen in one webinar when we were talking with the Transylvanian cluster, but also with the Lithuanian Digital Innovation Hub. And we have been talking about concepts like shared value, where we thought clusters can also play a role in implementing these shared value in our economy to create also links to the most social dimension of business. And to be the entity as a mediator to combine top-down and bottom-up approaches in different ways imaginable. And of course, more and more activities. And as the last thing, what I would like to highlight is that for all the activities and recommendations, they have come up because we had these guiding concepts for the European Alliance Against Coronavirus. That is probably also interesting to keep developing and to keep pursuing, that we had this trust and shared leadership and collective intelligence to improve day by day. We were talking about the resilience as a network property, co-evolving ecosystems to facilitate movements between the ecosystems, and with these daily meetings in itself to have new innovative policy advice, to combine approaches and to create references and to be flexible and to innovate on a more immediate level. And all of this, of course, in a very nutshell, but in detail on the ECCP. Thank you.
Thank you to you, Nina. I need to say that Nina has been a constant from the beginning of the European Alliance Against Coronavirus. She has been the core of the activity of the organization. She started working with our first action for the database, and later coordinated the activities in the ECCP forum, and now is working with Hilaria's team. So thank you, and congratulations, Nina, because we see you very few times, but you are really behind everything.
Thank you, Antonio.
And now we are going to give the speech also to another person that is at the core what we are doing from the beginning also. and we are lucky to have him. Marek, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having the opportunity to present. I will take the screen if I can. Yeah. Is it okay? Can you see it?
Not yet. No. No, Marek. If not, I can share from my computer.
No. Now it will come. It will come.
We will wait. No problem.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, fine. So, super.
Not yet.
So
yeah, perfect.
Yep. Okay. So thank you very much for giving me the chance to be in this session for sort of concluding of what we were working on. I was going through yesterday all. I mean, very much. It's impossible to go through all sessions, but the first 2.5 minutes of your first session on the 27th of March. This was exactly. I don't know who was it. I didn't recognize the voice, but in 2.5 minutes, it was stated the objective of the meeting on the 27th of March. And what was that? When you go to this, you might go to this session on the 27th, and in the first 2.5 minutes, I think it was essence of why the meeting was. And these are citations. Huh? What we are here for is to coordinate better our efforts that we are all doing locally. What we want is to organize better the support between each other. What we are looking for is other good practices. Help in matchmaking of needs, channel demands, but also offers. Clusters are good connectors to bring solutions. Help also not now in emergency, but also in a mid and longer term. And I want to recall this because when we started, it was shock. It was a bottom-up initiative for people very with willingness to act in a situation where we had a crisis and emergency. And then now, after 3 months, it's all gone down, the markets adjusted, and we are less relaxed. But this is how it started. So it started really with a need of us to help each other. And I looked through the evolution of all the meetings that we had, this 130 morning sessions. I've noticed the pattern. So at the very beginning, it was let's get to know each other, who we are, and what we can do together. Exchanges on masks, respirators, demands. You recall panic. We didn't have masks. We didn't have respirators. How to make it. So let's help each other. This famous French standards for masks, which were immediately applied in Spain because of the network. Then we moved into when things were coming. What are the disruptions and solutions? And this like developing prototypes for masks and respirators, and all what just was mentioned in previous presentations. And then now we are moving into let's increase the role of clusters in ecosystems, both industrial and regional, and cluster proposals for tourism, aviation, and automotive are already taken up by our colleagues in the unit. So this is the evolution. I hope we will not be in the position of the second wave that we will come here in emergency situation, but it's not excluded. It's not excluded that this will be still coming with something which we haven't expected in emergency situation, and let's help each other will be the most important thing. And then again, emergency will be the topic, and the agility and quick reaction of clusters will be again crucial. So having said so, we have this let's increase the role of clusters in ecosystems, and this ecosystem is the concept that that is basically, if I can say, it's very similar to what we had at the bottom up on smart specialization, because it's on the ecosystem but at local regional level. here in new industrial strategy for Europe and the communication, we as DG Grow, we have introduced this ecosystem approach as building the single market. So basically it encompasses all players operating in value chains. So smallest startups to largest companies, from academia to research, service providers to suppliers. And this changes as well perspective from how clusters should operate, in my view, not only looking at providing services to SMEs, not only looking at intelligence building for these SMEs or collaboration, but as well being the integrator in this whole ecosystems. Because industrial ecosystems are increasingly integrated and connected, research, engineering, manufacturing, assembly, and servicing often take place in different parts of Europe. From our perspective, this is actually building the European single market. And we have noticed this, how important it is during the crisis. So this is the illustrative picture I have received from my colleagues in DG Grow of Economic Analysis Unit. Of course, these numbers are illustrative. As we were saying, ecosystems are more or less 90% of our value added, but of course they all are in ecosystem. Yeah? So these are just the conceptual framework on which we will work in order to structure our interventions. So basically, within each of these ecosystems, like we had in mobility with aviation and automotive, or we had with tourism, we have the core clusters, let's say clusters which are in the ecosystem, but as well all other clusters from, let's say, other ecosystems are interrelated and impact the tourism ecosystem. So I want to refer as well to the ecosystem, which this is the picture. I took it from Urada. It's 8 years old or 9 years old. This was put in the guide on smart specialization as developing ecosystems at the regional level, and this is something that actually guided our smart specialization. If you can see, at that moment, cluster managers are somewhere here, like among actors of knowledge. So this is like where, from the perspective of region, where in ecosystems are located clusters. I think they must move into the integrator of the whole ecosystem. Clusters as integrator of having members from civil society, having leadership in entrepreneurial discovery process, bringing on board investors in order to finalize have financial literacy to implement projects, very close collaboration and work with public authorities. I found it fantastic example from Ile-de-France, and which we had at the webinar last week for our recovery. I found it extremely encouraging that things are possible when you have really public authorities very working very closely with clusters, finding solutions immediately. When but they knew it, they had it before. They had this collaboration with cluster and public authorities on the daily basis, and just when it happened, they implemented. And then what the sessions brought, let me emphasize this. First of all, definitely it brought visibility of clusters. And the fact that we were able to meet with our commissioner, he expressed absolutely the role of clusters as essential to accelerate transformation, visibility in other policy fields, but still we need to work on it, and it's only the beginning. Contacts means that we are going beyond this bubble of cluster community, going to the linking to other policymakers from different domains, be it climate change, be it research, be it health, to other EU institutions, be it the European Parliament or other like Committee of Regions or Social Committee. Contacts with other pan-European organizations like EART or Association of Venture Capitals would still need to be brought on board. First, we have now EURADA with us, and this is fantastic because this is bringing the clusters into the local intelligence. All this from participants who were here, practitioners, people on the ground who are giving information and expanding the way of our thinking through different different knowledge that they have. Policy co-creation with us. This is something that we want as a European Commission. Direct access, co-creation, building together policy, cluster policy, putting emphasis on what really matters, and coming with ideas for interventions at EU level, national and regional level. So next step, I would say, particularly needed at this moment of recovery is investment. Let's use this opportunity of having the identification of disruptions for transforming into challenges to prepare pipelines of projects, flagships, investments. It should be done at local, regional level, and this is where clusters are mainly associated. So clusters at local level, and here we have the tools like smart specialization, like just transition, like rural development. Billions of euro is going in this, and I'm not I don't want to, I'm not exaggerating, because for smart specialization it's above 100 billion euro. For just transition, now it was cut 10 billion euro, but it's still lots of money. For rural development as well, hundreds of billions of euro for local development action. So smart specialization, and that's why we will have as well the dedicated sessions in September to tap into the local environment. At national level, national resilience. Yeah, I have an echo. Sorry, I'm going to finish. If someone can close the. Yeah, it's better. So next generation EU recovery package, 390 billion to be disbursed now in national recovery plans, where member states from October to April needs to submit to the Commission. National level clusters need to reach out this national level so that the national plans are incorporating the projects of clusters. And then at EU level, we will have Euro clusters, launch the first call for 2021, and then subsequently into from 2021-27, in order to build the value chains, interlinkages, capacity to increase strategic autonomy and reinforce transformation. And we will focus on critical infrastructure, critical inputs, and critical technologies from EU perspective. Interregional innovation investments, it's confirmed again in the Council, 500 million euro will be finally available for this. My big win, 7 years of fighting together with Vanguard Initiative to have it. We have it. I hope European Parliament, they are, I know they were always for this. We need to tap on this, because this is exactly about pan-European projects, and many others which we need to, according to the characters of disruptions, tap in. Horizon Europe, Erasmus, digital single market, defense funds, all of them, LIFE, all of them have the need for projects. The members of clusters and clusters are the ones to to have these investments. Disruptions are only the inspiration for what we need. So, having said so, ending, all what mentioned at the beginning still valid for recovery. Coordinate efforts, organize better, matchmaking, bring solutions, and mid and longer term. Thank you very much for this attention, and I want to shift this thinking from, I hope, still the second wave is not coming, into the recovery mode where we will work together. Thank you very much for your attention.
You are really, really welcome, Marek. Thank you, because what you said is critical. You have just put on the table the next steps for our activities for all the cluster community and all of the rest of the network that we have created. Okay, so thank you very much. We have only 6 minutes. Who wants to comment or ask or give ideas? Somebody, please. I'm sure that somebody wants to say something.
Antonio, it's Veronica. Just an idea. Maybe I'm suggesting something too high, but I heard on TV that the European Commission is going very correctly to create a task force at the level of the presidency to coordinate and orchestrate the national recovery plans, so that they can ensure a certain coordination in the actions and the like. So I don't know at what point this task force will act. I mean, at what point in the drafting of the national plans. But once again, since I'm afraid, I'm very much afraid that in some countries clusters won't be involved neither at national level nor at regional level. It could be great if also at that level this approach, this approach to involve clusters, because clusters are different from industry associations, because as said many times, we are cross-sectoral, more cross-sectoral than vertical industry associations. So it's just because also in your slides you have cited some countries that have started, where national governments have started to discuss with clusters, but still they are few countries out of 27. So I think that we must really all try to ensure this dialogue, because otherwise it's an opportunity that countries and regions miss.
I didn't know about that task force. I don't know if this task force will include external.
Maybe it's a very high level. I mean, it's just, I think, in the together with the general secretariat, okay, of the European Commission. So we are talking about a very high level. Okay, so the ones that is in dialogue with, of course, the prime ministers and the ministries that are in charge of drafting the national recovery plans. So once again, maybe for the level and maybe for the step, for the moment where this task force will be enabled to act. So I think it will be more a review when the draft national plans will be already at a very good stage. So maybe it's more for fine tuning. I don't know really. But once again, I think that the key point, what you have done throughout all these months, and what also Marek once again stressed, what I'm afraid is that the slide of the view from the slide from Eurada, dating 8-9 years ago, is still what for some governments, more regional governments, and maybe national clusters look like still today, and while there has been a major revolution. So once again, it's up not to just to DG Grow to emphasize how we really can help, but it should be a message delivered throughout the European institutions. This would be my my request. Otherwise, yes, we could miss opportunities.
Yeah, and the commissioner told us that he would recommend to the national members to include clusters on the recovery plan. So I think it would be excellent if we will be involved on that task force, or we or Marek and his team. Okay. So if there is any opportunity, Marek, don't hesitate to tell us, because if we need to write something, it's a very very.
I think that the task force, as mentioned, it's at the presidency level. So it's member states, meaning that they are coordinating among each other member states. So the really target group for clusters are the Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Finance of the member states. And of course, the Commission will be, but it will be associated to this. But I think this coordination is actually between member states. So that and then for this, I recommend to read you country-specific recommendations. Because exactly this might be aligned with the European semester country-specific recommendations, and in each country you have the chapter which relates very much to the functions of clusters regarding the collaboration between research and businesses, regarding the SME competitiveness. So this is inspiration for potential projects and like gateway to the national authorities, so that on the basis of country-specific recommendations, where it's recognized by the member states themselves, this issue to be solved, that clusters can help solving these issues.
Okay, perfect. For your information, for everybody, okay, we are planning to have at least 3 sessions by month on this specific topic on the recovery plans, and we want to invite representatives from most of the countries to share how they see and to share best practice on that point. We have 2 special sessions next Thursday and Friday, okay, about that. And we also are working on the idea that was contributed yesterday from Jaime, about the possibility to organize specific national sessions, okay, for every member state. And I think that we will work on that and animate the different nations to organize this kind of session during the months of September and October. So that's critical. It was said by Ula yesterday, by Marek today, by everyone. We need to involve ourselves in the national recovery plans. And this must be one of the main focus of our activity in the next period. So we have the challenge, we have the opportunity, and we have the capacities. Now it's a question of mix everything. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we will speak about cosmetic, and so you are invited to join us. Ciao. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you very much.